Welcome, I'm your host, Malcolm Gallagher. From our BizVision studios in the UK, you're watching the Conscious Matetrs Show on the BV-TV network. For this opening month of 2021, January 2021, I focused all my interviews with guests on the conscious agenda, planet, people, and profits, along with my theme for this quarter, which is the word Awaken. What I felt was missing in all my interviews was the profits agenda. Let's not be silly. A company cannot create wealth if it doesn't make profits. But surely in today's altered world, it can do it with a social conscience. In that dark year that was 2020, long gone, thank goodness, I was fortunate to find a true pot of golden money information. So I asked her to come back again, and she said yes. My guest and her husband became self-made millionaires running an IT consultancy. But my guest also mentors entrepreneurs as a qualified money coach. So let's pop across to the USA again and say hello again to Lisa Duke. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, great to talk to you. But apart from the fact it's a cold, snowy Northumberland here, and you're sitting in sunshine in Florida.
Yes, it's very cold here as well. It's only 70 degrees. It's not our normal 78 or 80.
This is not the way to start a good conversation, Lisa.
I've now alienated all users or all viewers from north of the tropics. Sorry, guys. Come and visit after the pandemic. It's lovely.
Yeah. It's a good job. You're great at giving good solid information. So we'll forgive you that. Lisa, I'm meeting lots of entrepreneurs who have a genuine desire to start and grow a business, maybe having to at the moment. Mm-hmm. Now, that's a best practice within the conscious agenda of planet, people, and profits that they want. Mm-hmm. But all too often, they get a money block on the profits bit. How do you help them over this blockage?
I think it really starts with examining what we believe about money, because I think a lot of people in that wellness space, in the planet space, have this belief that money is intrinsically evil. And I'm trying to do good. So these two things don't go together. Yeah. But that's a false belief. Money is just a tool for exchange, right? If you think back to the barter days, maybe you had a cow and I wanted some milk, and I had chickens and you wanted some eggs, and we would swap. But what if we got to a point where you were good on eggs and I still wanted milk? We didn't have any way to store that value. So money's just a tool of exchange, a way to store value. There's nothing inherently evil about it. And so it shouldn't inherently conflict with taking care of the planet and taking care of people. So we have to really examine those beliefs and drop those so that they're not in our way.
Right. Okay. In other words, there's two ways to look at money, isn't there? It can be a force for good, helping people in the world, mm-hmm. or it can be that Wall Street evil.
Well, and even people on Wall Street probably don't like thinking of themselves as evil, but I understand what you were saying. Certainly, traditional capitalism tends towards exploiting workers, exploiting the planet. There's a lot of costs that don't show up on the balance sheet. But again, this is why bringing in this kind of new energy, this new perspective, a more holistic approach is so important. And I think that will bleed over into traditional businesses over time as their employees and their consumers demand that.
Yeah, excellent. Now, again, all too often, I'm getting business leaders saying, I'm not doing it for the money, it's because, and then I get some vague reason. And I think surely nobody is going to invest in your business if you're not focused on delivering a return. Do you meet people like that? And if so, what do you say to them?
Absolutely. And I definitely think it goes back to this idea of, well, doing good and doing well are opposing forces, right? It's okay to do it for the money. Yes. Like we all need to earn a living. We all need to pay for clothes for our kids, to be able to pay the light bill, to be able to grow our businesses and hire people who want to work on those kind of projects in that kind of environment. So it doesn't have to be an either or, it can be a both and. And once you have the money, you can do a lot of good with it. You don't have to go sort of the Dr. Evil route and
Yeah.
like try to blow up the moon or something, right? Like you can donate to charity, you can do profit sharing. There are a lot of things, good things that you can do with the money once you have it. So again, we don't want to exploit people. We don't want to, abuse the planet, but there are ways of balancing both and dropping some of that guilt and shame. That's a lot of what I work with my clients on, is dropping some of the guilt and shame and freeing them up to be able to pursue that.
Excellent. I really like that. Well said, Lisa. Well said. Now, and as a side question, you and your husband are self-made millionaires in the technology world.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think tech can be a force for good within the whole conscious thinking, or is it planet destructive?
This is interesting, and there's multiple angles to it. So we look at social media, it's been very much in the news right now. The wonderful thing about social media is it helps like-minded people who might be geographically scattered come together and share ideas. The horrible thing about social media is that it allows like-minded people who might be geographically scattered to come together and share ideas. So I think tech is a lot like money in the sense of it's just a tool. And what makes the difference is how the tool is used, the intent of the person that is using it, what we use to build spaces that are hateful and destructive can also be used to build spaces that are loving and generous. And it really always kind of comes back to the core of the people and what's motivating them.
Brilliant, yes. Lisa, just before we move on to the next question, let's make sure everyone has taken down the URL of your website so they can follow through on this interview. I'll read it out for listeners, but viewers can see it on the screen behind me. For listeners, it's Lisa, and Lisa is spelled Lisa, Duke, Duke, lisaduke.net. Lisa, let's get back to money. What's your 3 steps to money mastery? And why do we need them?
I think the first is stewardship. A lot of people want to start with like getting rich and earning a lot of money. The problem is if you start there, you can always spend more than you make, right? Once you get to a certain level, you start to meet people and see things they have that weren't even in your awareness before. So I think the first piece you have to start with, assuming you're making, enough money to live on, you have to start with stewardship. And I always think about this, if you had a goldfish, you got a little kid who has a goldfish and he goes to mom and says, "Mom, I want a puppy." Well, you're not taking good care of the goldfish. Why would I give you a puppy? So, God, the universe, whatever yourself, whatever you believe in, why should you get more money when you're doing such a terrible job, most of us, with the money that you have, right? Show me you can take care of what you have, and then we'll discuss getting more. So I really think that's the first step, is putting more awareness on where your money is going, making more conscious choices, paying off debt, getting ready to invest. That's kind of the first piece. And then from there, getting into investing and earning more.
I like that. I like that. You're a successful woman in 2 tough businesses, IT and money. The world needs more of you, but it seems to me that we're not genuinely creating the right environment for women entrepreneurs. For example, in London, only 5% of venture capital goes to women startups. In Los Angeles, it's higher at 15%, but that's still not enough. What's your thoughts here? And what would you say as words of encouragement to those aspiring women entrepreneurs?
I think our time is coming. And, maybe I'm delusional,
No.
but it works for me, right? You can believe whatever you want as long as it's working for you. So I think some of the turmoil we've seen in politics is sort of the patriarchy. It's like a wounded animal that kind of knows it's dying and is fighting out. And so there is in tech and in finance a lot of kind of guy culture, some toxic masculinity. I've been very lucky that I have managed to avoid those environments, but I know from friends and colleagues that they exist. So I think some of it is just kind of staying the course, being true to ourselves. We don't have to stay in those environments. This is why starting our own thing is can be such a good thing, because then you have more control over the environment. So I think knowing that things are shifting and looking for ways that we can have success in our own space on our own terms. And also the other piece, right? Like, there is the outside environment that we have limited control over, but there's that internal environment where we have a lot more control. And I think making sure that we've done the work there. I know in the IT consulting company years ago, when we were growing and hiring employees, we would interview two candidates. A lot of the times the woman might have a stronger resume, but in an interview, she would really downplay her experience. The guy might have a weaker resume, but would come off as much more confident. And it was a very difficult decision for us as owners, because I wanted to bring more women into tech, into our business. But I can't have somebody out on client site that clearly knows what they're doing and talks like they don't. So it would be a very difficult decision. So I think, again, working on the piece that you do have control over, how do I present myself? If we can go out with half the confidence of a mediocre white guy, we'll be doing really well for ourselves. So that piece of kind of, getting clear on what I want, getting confident in my own abilities, not being intimidated to speak confidently and to put yourself out there and to negotiate. This is something that I work with a lot of my clients on, is helping them with negotiation. A lot of guys coming into the company, right? The company's expectation is that you are going to negotiate your salary. So they actually offer you a bit less than they want to pay you so that they have room to negotiate. Guys will negotiate and get that salary. Women tend to just accept the offer. And then that's where that pay gap starts. If you're getting a % increase on your base pay every year, you're never going to catch up, even if you're doing better than the guy. So there are some very real factors out there. I don't know how much control we have over them, but taking ownership for the pieces we can do something about, we can control, and supporting each other, reinforcing each other, I think goes a long way.
And I think you're spot on having confidence. I found a way around it. Just go for a drive, like with my wife. She's a confident driver.
So she's just sort of bring that into salary negotiation.
Yes. Your sort of your assessment will be taking me for a drive round the corner. Sadly, Lisa, I've got to soon leave warm Florida back to cold Northumberland. Before I do so, though, I want to ask my final question. It's 2021, and as I said beforehand, our first quarter theme with guests is Awaken. Awaken from the slumber that was in 2020. Awaken, it's time to get things moving, and especially with the conscious agenda of planet, people, and profits in mind. In this altered world, what 3 things do you want people watching this interview, listening to this interview, to awaken to or think about in respect of your work?
I think the first is reflecting on the beliefs we had about money as kids. What were we taught? What were sort of the family sayings? What did you pick up about money as a child? Because money is taboo, we tend to not reflect on those ideas. We tend to not challenge them. We tend to not update them for the times. So awakening to, what beliefs do I have from childhood about money that might be holding me back now? The second is awareness of where your money is going, and also whether or not it is growing. Am I putting money just towards expenses, or am I also building assets? Your business can be an asset, but as entrepreneurs, we don't want to put all of our eggs in one basket. You want to diversify outside of your business. And the third is, this is not something I made up. It's, I think Gay Hendricks is the fellow who made it up in one of his books, but it's this term, the upper limit problem, that once you are managing your money well and you are investing for financial independence, for retirement, there's sort of this then what question that a lot of successful entrepreneurs get to. Is it okay, right? Like, I'm fine right now. Is it okay to want more? What will happen if I out earn my friends, if I live at a different standard than my parents. A lot of us, again, have a lot of negative judgments about rich people. And so if we get on the verge of becoming one ourselves, we tend to hold ourselves back. So, kind of getting awakening and awareness around the potential of that upper limit problem. And again, starting to challenge a lot of those beliefs will go a long way towards allowing you to step up and to earn more.
Excellent. Lisa of lisaduke.net. I have thoroughly enjoyed revisiting you again. And I was just warming up there as well in the sunshine, and now I've got to go. But so can I come back again sometime?
Absolutely. We'll have to do one of these in person. You got to come down for holiday and
Yes.
thaw out, and we can do one on the beach.
Yeah, I think the way we're going at the moment, that's going to be a long time. Although I will have my vaccination in a few weeks' time. Lisa, I've thoroughly enjoyed seeing you again. Thanks for a great interview.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much.